we have our third presentation, this time coming from Slovakia, Košice. The creative industry Košice has brought us a very, very interesting and inspiring presentation, or should I say a show. A person doing slam poetry, stand-up comedy, writing, performing, and producing all these things. Mr. Tomáš Straka, please, the stage is yours.
Hello. Can you hear me? Because I cannot hear you. My name is Tomáš Straka. I'm the main organizer or the head of slam poetry in Slovak Republic, but we work also with Czech Republic and Hungary and all this V4 region. And I want to thank the Tabačka and Creative Industry Košice for this opportunity. And I have some, don't know, slam stand-up comedy, something about situation in Slovakia, because this can be about the next year, but it's in the same time in the last year, which was completely absurd. And I found it so absurd that I kind of like it. It's like a lot of things you can never imagine it happens. Like, I can never imagine before you go to the bank and the policeman tell you like, please put your mask on. I like always imagine this young robbers which want to do the robbery from the bank, like, oh, should we or should we not or something? And they came to the bank and the policeman, please guys, like masks on. And oh, thank you, we forgot that. You know, very, very, very absurd, very, very crazy. And in Slovakia, you have to have your mask on, even when you go to the forest or something like this. There is like no point to have it, but maybe they are afraid of we spread the pandemic on the squirrels or birds or something like this. Very, very, very strange. So, but what I want to talk about, it's buts and cunts, and it's a lot of buts and cunts in your country or in my country, and I will explain like this: like, you want to do some art, but you can't, and this is everything. This is every month. Come some butt and some cunt that you cannot explain. I was really thinking and last night what I want to talking about, and I have this dream. I died and I go to heaven, and there was all these absurd writers like Kafka and Čapek and Orwell, and have this absurd feeling about reality. And because, you know, if you are a writer in the middle of Europe, you don't have to have no imagination. You just write down what happens, and then happens in my dream. And Orwell and Kafka said like, you have this global pandemic, so what do you do? And you have some restrictions, and I think the people in Europe are very respectful. And they're like, no way! There's great protest of neo-Nazis. And okay, I will take a notes. It looks great, it's great. And what are their point of view? There is no point of view. They think there are no corona situation, and Bill Gates and George Soros want to chip us with vaccine and might control us to be social liberals. And I can completely imagine the George Orwell like, it's liquid gold, mate, it's liquid gold. That this novel itself. Yeah, and I said, yeah, it's the Nazis, and they split up yesterday. And they were like, why they split up? Because they said the rules in the Nazi party are not democratic enough. Like, it's pure absurdness. It's like pure absurdness. And the restrictions, I have no problem with them if they are logical. But you are in the middle of Europe. There is no logic in there. So in my dream, there was like Kafka, and what is the restrictions? And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of buts and cunts. For example, you can go to church, but you can't go to theater. You can go to shop, but you can't go in the concert. You can go skiing, but you can't go for the festival, dance festival, even in open air. And you know, and you're thinking about it, like, okay, so the virus, don't like religion, love culture, love traveling and don't like shopping. I have very common with this virus. I want to meet him, because it's basically a hipster virus. It have all these things with hipster have in common. So it's very crazy. And the peak of this buts and cons was, I think, in October last year, when we have in 1 week 6 times they changed restrictions. So in Monday, you can do something for 6 people, then you can do for 30, then you can do for 2 people, then you cannot do nothing. And you are the state organizer of the thing, and you have no idea what you have to do. We do the international workshop online, we do online slams, but when they change it in 1 week, like 7 times, you have no idea. So I called the National Health Services, and I told them, like, okay, I don't know what to do. Do you know? And he goes, we know, but actually we don't know. So why? How you don't know? Because we have no information from Prime Minister. And after this torture, the guy make the speech. He's a great guy. I bet my month's salary he never was in theater, and he do this speech like they can make less restriction on culture because it's always nice to do your hobby. I can really imagine he's sitting with prima ballerina from National Ballet and tell her like, oh, what are you doing? And her will be like, oh, I danced like 17 years from, I was a very small child. And he was like, it's a great hobby. What do you do for a living? Like he has no idea how culture from and this. And it's so crazy. But anyway, we can adapt on all these buts and cons. We do 62 slams, which 50 of them was online. We can pay our artists and everything. But we have to adapt that each time, each month, each week came some but or some you can't. You can't do something, but you can't. And it was always amazing. We have now this main capital of Slovakian culture in Nové Zámky. You can literally translate it like Newcastle. And this like Slovakian Newcastle have lots of money for it. Give us like, come on, 7 slammers, some slams, some shows, some everything. We can do it, but Slovak Art Council doesn't communicate with our Prime Minister, which has no idea what he does. So I think it will be great to prolong the lockdown. So we can, but actually we can't again. And I was so frustrated that I go home and I just want to play PlayStation and do like nothing. And I start play this Red Dead Redemption game. I don't know if you know it, it's like cowboys and outlaws and everything. And after 1 hour playing, I realized I don't play anything. I just shoot everything which moves. So I thought, okay, I want to play main mission. So I go to post office and you have to pay the bounty if you want to play. And then I realized after this 1 hour of playing, even if I paid my real grants from Slam Poetry Slovakia, I can pay off my bounty, so I cannot play. And it was like last nail in the coffin of but can't. So I lie on ground and I was like, fuck's sake, I have no energy then. And then I realized like, okay, we can like culture slammers peoples, and we have youngest slammer have 12 years and the oldest slammer has 65 years. So great amount of people. We can do this. We can beat up all these buts and cons and not only in parliament but in life, and we can do something bigger and we can adapt, and it's actually cool. And the most interesting thing I see in all this situation start 2 years ago. We have this very strange situation when mob or mafia killed a journalist, and all the cultural sector bonds together and try to fight against this arrogance of power. And after 2 years, we have the pandemic situation, but this cultural bond, it's still here and it's still very strong. So it works. It still works. We are still bonded together. We are still strong. The culture somehow survives. I don't know why actually, or how, but we did it. And this makes great courage in me. Like, there was no problem to go online, and any buts and cons will came to us. We can beat them because we survived this, and we survived with 60 slams in last year, and next year maybe 100. I don't know. So for us was great test of absurdity, of what politicians can and cannot do, of what Nazis can tell you in a street, of what your government can fight against you, because not because they are bad, but because they are chaotic. But you can survive, and if we can survive this butts and cons, we can survive everything. So I just think we can make some more Zooms, we can make some more slams, even internationally, but we can still get together because we are stronger than all these butts and cons. Good.
Thank you, Thomas. Can you hear us there? Do we have a connection there?
Hi, please, Susanna. Tomáš cannot hear you, but he is
okay.
Here. So he's coming here to discuss.
Okay, it would be really great to have him for a moment to have a bit of a chat after this really great show. So, Thomas, thank you very much for your performance. It was kind of like giving a lot of familiar feelings. Most of the cultural field really felt the situation kind of really dire a year ago when all these things started to happen there. Few comments about this thing, like what do you think? You said the culture somehow survived. Is it because basically culture has always been kind of like inside there and having really tough times, or what do you think? What is your feeling?
You know, when you're in the middle of Europe, and especially post-socialistic Europe, the culture don't have the strong position, because there is still people which ask why we need this, why we even need the culture, for what is good. So you kind of used to it to be this underdog, and you do it not for the money, but because this is your life, or this is something you want to do. So you do it in any situation. But I'm surprised that we survived somehow, and I'm very thankful for it, actually.
Yeah, it's good to hear that we will find the ways to go on, and as mentioned, it's really like the world for the creativity is always under some kind of suppression, and that forces us to kind of like build up new ways of doing the stuff that we love. A bit more personal question about kind of like things that you really do. How did it feel like that you had to move into more virtual environment? Kind of like that what you do, I think it has a really a strong need for connection with the audience. So what is your kind of like personal feeling of changing the work in that way?
You feel really stupid because you stand before camera or notebook and you really feel like 13-year-old girl dancing in your room and putting on Facebook. And you feel really stupid, but it has some charm in it. So, yeah, but actually we do this slam poetry or poetry slam, and in slam you will have the points, like who is the winner of the evening and everything. And I tried in Tabačka half a year ago. We have this online. And I just said, like, if you want to give us points, you can do it via Facebook. And it was practically a joke, but the people start to point us in the messenger chat. So this is great feeling that people want to be interactive, want to be there, they miss it. So it's quite nice. And it's quite nice because you go to the intimate space with the culture, because the people get their notebooks to their living rooms and bedrooms, and So it's very different. It's very different, but it has some charm in it. I won't miss it. I can definitely say I won't miss it.
Yeah, I guess we all want to go back to the kind of like live things, but this virtual thing is here and it will stay in some form and kind of like expand the performing universe that used to be there. So it kind of like brings in new opportunities and potential. And of course, it has a chance to grow the audience in a sense, because you can reach beyond the walls that you are performing in physical space. One final question, which is related to the theme of the event here, the new year, the new start. We all noticed this week that in the kind of like grandiose scale of political scene, something changed. Hopefully for a bit less turbulent times these days. But you mentioned the kind of like really extreme things around us. I was just wondering that how do you feel about the conspiracy theories around the net? Is that a useful material for what you're doing in your slam events, or is it already too far that it's impossible to use because it's so crazy in the beginning?
My mom loves it and believe a lot of them. But besides of this, I think the problem, especially again in a post-socialistic era or area of Europe, is we don't have the free speech platform developed so much. So people are afraid to speak up and then do their small conspiracies in their heads and Facebook walls and everything, but they are ashamed to communicate. And I have experience, if you communicate on the slam stage or something like this, you don't necessarily have to ridicule this, but it's payoff immediately. Like if I start to do some crazy conspiracy theory slam, and the audience will laugh or have some reaction, you can immediately see when you are conspiracy theorists, like, okay, this is so far or not. But I think like people have to theorize, like all the time we have this strange theories, but now a lot of them can be dangerous and a lot of them can be fun. Like, I don't know, but I think it's very good to speak up, to let the people speak up and discuss with them, because if we just silence them, they can be dangerous. Then in Slovakia, there's great movement with the Nazi party and the conspiracy theorists, and it's because nobody talked with them. So this is maybe more dangerous, like to listen to these theories and try to discuss them.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. I think we are now heading to the end of the event today, but with all these words, we kind of like realize at the moment that working in the creative and cultural field, we have a lot of power in our hands, and as we have decided that this new year will be the new start for something more special, and we will leave all the worries behind and move towards some kind of positivity in a sense, there is a lot of possibilities to find the solutions to these kind of things there. So thanks for all our performance. Louise from Skåne, Kai from Helsinki, and Thomas from Košice, thank you very much for all of the performances here and all the inspiring speeches. We have seen and heard inspiring stuff, and a lot of new ideas are pouring in all the time. At the end here, I would really like to remind you that this whole session has been recorded and will be brought online later on. So please stay tuned for that, and we will share the links to all of you. And to conclude conclude this thing, thank you for the organizers, the CCSC project, the Trans-Europe halls, and everyone involved, and also the Creative Europe who has been supporting the event. So thank you, and thank you from my side, and let's hope that the coming spring will bring us a new and lightful ways of working in the culture and creative field. Thank you very much.